What is the biggest bullet you've ever dodged? Saturday night, my landlord leaves a message on my answering machine. To give him a call, that's all he says. The message is played loud enough in the living room that the 5 people I have over can all hear it. I'm a pretty good tenant, so I give him a ring back. As the call is being made, my buddy cracks a gay joke. Specifically, maybe he wants you to suck his fat CCK for some free rent. I tell him to shut up as I'm calling him now. Instead of him picking up, I get his machine. So I proceed to leave a formal message explaining that I got his call and can be reached by my cell. Then I press the button on my phone to end call. Now that I'm no longer leaving a message, I begin to poke fun at my buddy's comment, mimicking my landlord's voice in order to play out that situation. We then begin to have a detailed discussion of how much rent would have to be included before a person would in fact suck ad. After some laughs, I habitually look at my cell and noticed it still says connected to landlord's name. My heart drops to my stomach. I put my ear to the speaker and hear a machine explaining, if you are satisfied with this message, press 1. If you would like to hear this message, press 2. Of course, I press 2 and begin listening to the entire conversation of my living room for the past 6 minutes. My buddies are still laughing and making crude jokes, totally unaware of my collision with disaster. After the entire message is played, I'm given the option to delete and leave a new message. There is a God. So I leave a short, non-homosexual overtone message and then power my phone off altogether. Bullet dodged. Yes. Lesson learned. Touch phones are the devil. Little did you know he was home, screening calls and listening to the whole thing live. It was only .177. I didn't really dodge it though, but it did get lodged in my rib rather than my lung heart. I'm tired, so I'm just going to do the too long didn't read version. In August of 2007, I split up with my then fiance because the relationship was going downhill and he kept pressuring me to marry him and have children. Actually, he wanted to have children first, then get married, which I was very against. The following January he has moved back to his home state, and I end up in the hospital with a 9mm long by 2mm wide lesion on my midbrain. It was multiple sclerosis and a very acute attack. Had to relearn to walk, talk, everything. I got a call from him while I was recovering saying that he had already gotten his new girlfriend pregnant and they were considering marriage. If I had gone along with his idea of having the baby, I very well could have been pregnant when all that happened to me. I started dating an old high school friend of mine, long distance, while he was out of country, when he told me he had always liked me after I broke up with a BF. His sister and I also happened to be best friends. It was a casual long distance thing at first, and then it started getting more serious until he asked me to marry him. I said no. He got pissed, refused to speak to me, and a short time after, I moved to a different state. He came back home to where I was living before and started dating everything with a PSSY in his path and trying to make it super serious very quickly every time. He has this fantasy idea of what a perfect relationship should be like and gets very angry and throws fits when real life doesn't live up to his unreachable expectations. He would fall in love so fast, and when they would leave him, he would go off the deep end of depression. He had started talking to me again by then, so I got to hear about all this craziness. This happened about 4 or 5 times before he went and married some chick right before she was to leave country without telling anyone about it until it was over. She's only been gone for 6 months and already they fight so much that he's contemplating divorce. And to think that I actually wasted a whole day contemplating marriage with this man. Went to visit my GF in French Guiana, and we along with a couple of co-workers decided to borrow a car to go watch the launch of the European Space Shuttle. Can't remember the name of it. It was about 7 AM on a weekday because we had to drive about an hour to get to the place, and we were driving along a long, lonely single-lane highway carved through the jungle. A bicyclist is driving on the highway going in our direction, and a car going in the opposite direction. Something about the whole setup struck me as weird, and so I guess I was paying a bit more attention. So the driver of the other car starts drifting into our lane of traffic. And there is no way for me to pull over to the right. Because otherwise I'll hit the bicyclist. The only option is to pull into his lane and try to pass him that way. So I do that. At which point he swerves back into his own lane. So I have to swerve back as well, and somehow we manage not to hit each other or kill the bicyclist. Bear in mind that this whole story is going on as we're each driving around 60 miles per hour, and over the course of no more than 5 seconds it felt like a long time. But I was pretty hyper aware at the moment. Probably the most intense experience I've ever had, and not one I'm eager to repeat. But we literally dodged a car-shaped bullet. I don't know how it works in French Guiana, but I've heard of similar setups being used in the US to force a motor vehicle accident out of one of the people involved in this case. They'd be trying to get you to strike their car as an insurance scam. Besides sticking my ding crazy, once while hiking shooting rabbits in the middle of the Mojave Desert, me, Dad, Uncle were on top of a hill when two guys got out, about 200, maybe 250 yards away, rifles not shouldered, and both decide to take a look at us. A little sketchy considering we'd never seen anyone in this particular neck of the woods. I might not be 100% right on this, but I've always been told if you absolutely have to use your scope to look at someone, you don't put your damn hand anywhere near a firing position, and you tilt your rifle sideways. I did that, and saw two skinhead looking guys who looked like they could take me out if they so wished that weren't doing that. So I adjusted my rifle, took a knee, with my finger tapping the safety. After a tense moment, they lowered their rifles. They got back in their truck and left. I was also 16 and had the only rifle of the three of us. When I was 14, I was visiting my father in Oregon and we were shooting rounds off into this old chicken coop that we were later going to tear down. I had never shot a gun before, so I was just pumping rounds into this thing. I fired a .30-06 Springfield into this, hit a metal post on the inside I didn't see, and the bullet fired back through the coop and whizzed past my head, hit a tree 8 inches away from me. Biggest bullet I ever dodged. My girlfriend in high school was this hot redhead. She looked like she was poured into the dresses she wore. Everyone who met her said something along the lines of, "Holy shit dude, you are dating that." When my dad saw her he said to my mom, "Well, the kid doesn't need any damn glasses, that's for sure." This girl was hot, and as HRNY as could be. I thought for years that I could be sitting here with a smoking hot wife, and missed an opportunity. Fast forward 20 years, and I find her on Facebook. I see her photos are open, so I start browsing through them. Oddly, not many of her, mostly her kids, except some tight face shots. Then, I find a picture of her putting her kid on a horse. My instant reaction is, oh, I sit there and just stare for a full minute. Her ass was literally bigger than the ass of the horse that she was putting her kid on top of. I then look through her profile and find that she's a born-again Christian who stays at home all day with her 5 kids, while her husband goes to work. Most of her likes involve either Jesus, restaurants, or food. I show this all to my dad who is now around 80. About halfway through the profile he's telling me I dodged a bullet. I end off with the picture next to the horse. He says, "Okay, she's too big to be a bullet. You dodged a missile, son." Or 3-inch diameter chunk of potato moving at about 140 miles per hour. Twice. I can't say where, but some friends built a rather nice compressed air powered potato gun. After they'd had a few drinks they had the bright idea to try and catch a potato with a baseball glove. I naturally wanted a shot at it. We'd walk out there about 40-50 yards and put the glove up, call ready and try to catch one. Dude, I got shot with one at nearly 300 yards. It had gone over the target. I was dumb to be downrange, and even at that range it separated a rib. Excuse me, this is for people who have dodged bullets. Broke up with a serial cheater with ducked up ideas about family and relationships. He wanted to get married and move to the middle of nowhere so people wouldn't bother us. Code for take me away from all my friends and family who hated him. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe,